Thank you again for joining me for another watercolor demonstration. Today, I'm going to show you how to paint something like this while you're in the studio. So when you actually go to paint outside on location, you'll have confident brushstrokes while doing watercolor. And we'll take a look at the reference photo. I've already taken the time to prepare the drawing. So I'm first starting with a cobalt turquoise. I'm using a synthetic brush. It's one of my faves. It's a Neptune brush. It holds a lot of water, and that's very useful with watercolor. As you can see, I started with quite a bit of pigment, and then I am doing some saturation of the color, so I am making it fade out to the left and the right. How I found this picture was just walking around the neighborhood, just getting some normal exercise, just out enjoying. My daughter was roller skating, and my wife and I were just checking out just our neighborhood, and this building spoke to me several times. It just really resonated with me, and I just wanted to capture it in my expressive way. As you can see, I blocked in the top there behind the house. And the next color I'm going to use is by Holbein. This is a lavender color. I also mixed a little bit of neutral tint in with it, and it's a really favorite color that I like having in my palette. As you can see, I'm using the tip of the brush, and I'm using the side of the brush. The way to have confident brush strokes is to plan out your painting. When I took the time to draw this, I was actually considering where I'd actually put the color, not a paint by numbers, so to speak, but actually I'm deciding where I'm strategically going to place things. As you can see, that shadow worked really well. Putting it next to the window. As I continue to work from the left to the right, I won't be accidentally putting my hand or my sleeve in the wet paint. As you can see, I'm putting in the shadow of the chimney. The chimney starts to add depth along with the shadow. It starts to push and pull things that are in the foreground and in the background and in the middle ground. As I was saying, knowing where you're going to lay the color is going to allow you to be confident in your painting skills. You can see I used the tip, I used the side. At this point, I'm holding the paintbrush in the middle. I'm not right at the very end of the brush, and I'm not at the very part near the bristles. Allow yourself to breathe and have fun and take time. This studio practice is just to help you be a better painter when you actually go out. Using your fingernails and fingers for blending, adding small little intricate details. I enjoy this process. It's well planned, and even though it's well planned, there's these fun things that happen as you're painting, as you're allowing the watercolor to do its thing. But still, connecting with the photo reference and connecting with the water and the texture of the paper, it just stirs up all your senses. It's one of the things I love about watercolor. You want to add some diagonal lines as well. This will add more depth. As you can see, I used the point again. I'm using the side. It's more of a dry brush technique where you're allowing paint to work on the surface. I love the beauty of the science of watercolor pigment on the paper. How it works is light is bouncing off of the rough surface of the cold pressed paper, and then the light comes back through the pigment in which you see, which is just beautiful. Now I'm adding another value, and this is my darkest value for the painting. This is really going to push and pull. The paper I'm using is a cold press 100% rag paper. It's also called rough. So you have smooth paper, which is hot press, and then you have cold press, which has some tooth texture, and then this one definitely has some real nice ridges. That particular brush I'm using is by Princeton, and it's a Neptune number 10. I'm adding little accents here and there of this color. I'm going back to my middle value on this part of the fence. Leaving some white of the paper really gives just this accent, just this beautiful, it's kind of like music. It's like the notes that are not played. Not necessarily the notes that are being played, but those pauses. So pausing to allow to leave some whites. It kind of gives it some breath. Going a little darker here. It's okay to adjust, but you don't want to overwork your spaces. This neighborhood that I walk in has all different houses, and I really enjoy eclectic, different historian homes. This brush, it's fun to take an old brush that you haven't used in a while. This is an old brush that I took. You can find brushes like this on like Cheap Joe's. I believe they have a brush that's similar. It's called maybe like a lizard lick. It kind of looks like a lizard sticking its tongue out on the side. But basically, I used to be a barber and I have some really nice shears, and so I just started trimming away at this brush. And what I figured was I wanted a brush that still held in a lot of pigment but had a really nice point. And I'm able to use the side and get some different roughage for my trees. So I definitely use certain brushes for certain techniques. And you'll definitely feel confident when you know which brush you're going to use for which technique. This particular brush right here is by Raphael. It's one of their travel series brushes. I just came across these. I think it was like at a Hobby Lobby. It was like a package of 3. It was just like one of those you can't leave the store kind of like without it, because it was on sale, and I was like, why not? And I went back and got the rest of them. I told some friends about them, and they got them as well. Some students, they went and picked some up, and we all had fun with these. They fit in your hands really nice. I could put them on the inside of my jacket pocket and take them with me wherever I go. Now I got some big areas, so I'm definitely going to use this Perla by Escoda. I really enjoy this brush. That size of that brush is maybe like a 14 or an 18, 16. It really doesn't matter. The nice thing is it's a big brush that holds a really good point. Again, starting with some really nice pigment on the brush and allowing some white spaces to stay in there. And yeah, I'm just about to wrap it up. And I am thinking about some other little details. But that is the majority of the painting. I do like to have fun and push the envelope when I'm in the studio to try some new things. So when I'm out doing plein air, I can reflect and go, oh, I tried that in the studio and I think that'll work out here. Sometimes when you're out doing plein air, you'll do 45 minutes or a 2-hour or 3-hour piece. Because the sun's moving around on you and the shadows are changing, so you want to work pretty quickly and confidently. So I'm trying some new things here, and I really like how they turned out. I like to pick maybe like 1 or 2 spots where I'll have some really interesting detail. I like a painting that I could see from far away, but then I like to get really close, up close. It's basically like 2 5x7s together, so it's probably like a 7x10, this size of paper. People like these. They're easy to buy when you're traveling, and you could throw it in your suitcase if it's in a small frame with plexiglass, or just simply mat it and put in a clear plastic sheet. Another way to be really confident is as these studio practices come about. Ask yourself these questions. it helps you be successful in your painting. How can I divide the various components of this painting up into abstract, interesting shapes on my paper? Think of large shapes, interlocking puzzle pieces. Often we need to arrange the shapes for what we see to make a more interesting image. Try to think abstract at the beginning with your thumbnail drawings, and then when you start to paint. Also be thinking what format would be the most effective for this painting. Try some line drawings or some value sketches to make that decision. Ask yourself, is this painting primarily about the land or the sky, a low horizon line that makes it about the sky, or a high horizon line that makes it about the land? Asking yourself these questions sets you up so when you're outside painting, you'll consider these things. Another really good one is, do I want to make the most of this a cool painting with some warm accents, or do I want to make this a warm painting with some cool accents? You don't really want to have like 50-50. You want to have less of one and more of the other. Another thing that you consider is there something or some way I can place objects to make it look more interesting? Perhaps something really high or something really low. If I crop the image to paint it, or will I make it more interesting painting? And you can make a painting very interesting. Well, good luck and see you soon. Now consider subscribing, because you'll get more information and you'll get to see more of her face in the background.